Ahead on CCX News, a honey of an idea. How to make your garden be safe. Plus, the man behind the scenes at Wayzata schools and how school television productions will be different come next year. But first, an approaching heat wave and an important reminder before heading to the beach. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. The first major heat wave of 2017 is expected to hit the Twin Cities this weekend.
Now that means local pools will be packed as people try to find relief, but as Delane Cleveland reports, local lifeguards have an important reminder for parents.
Anytime it gets warm, we get kind of packed.
During Minnesota's relatively short summers,
there are so many benefits to getting outside and getting active.
It doesn't take much to convince people to get out of the house and head for the beach.
Winters are so long here in Minnesota that when we finally get beautiful, sunny, hot weather, it just gets everybody outside and active.
The swimming pond at Elm Creek Park in Maple Grove opened for the season Memorial Day weekend. And for many families, it's already the place to go to pass the time.
It's family friendly and it's really easy to keep an eye on her.
I think it's a lot safer and cleaner than if you go to a regular lake or beach.
Georgie Pierbolt brought her 3 granddaughters here to celebrate the end of the school year.
I could swim before I could walk.
She's a former lifeguard who plans to keep a close eye on them and other kids as well.
You kind of scan and you look at all of the children that seem to be not as well monitored.
Lifeguards weren't present Thursday morning, in which case it's swim at your own risk. But even when lifeguards are on duty, safety is a shared responsibility.
The lifeguards are not a babysitter. You are still responsible for watching your child. The lifeguard is really a first responder.
In other words, parents and adults need to limit distractions such as books and smartphones. It's one of the messages officials from the Three Rivers Park District want to spread as the summer kicks off.
When people think of drowning, they think of the movies where the person is thrashing about and hollering and screaming, help me, I'm drowning. It doesn't happen that way. It's very silent.
I'd like to remind all adults with small children to please watch them carefully. Thank you for visiting Elm Creek Park Reserve and have a safe day.
In Maple Grove, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
The Three Rivers Park District is also reminding everyone to go online to get their swim pass. That'll help cut down your wait time in line. And as the heat wave arrives, the Crystal Cove Aquatic Center opens for the season on Saturday. The water park is a popular place with a zero-depth pool, 2 water slides, and a lap pool. On hot days like what's expected Saturday, it's important to take breaks out of the heat, drink plenty of water, and wear sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or more.
With the hotter weather, Brooklyn Park is reminding homeowners that the odd-even sprinkling schedule is in effect through the end of September. You could say it's a sign of summer. You may see a sign like this in areas of the city with higher water users. The odd-even rule means homes with even numbers sprinkle on even calendar days, and odd house numbers sprinkle on odd numbered days. If you have an in-ground sprinkler system, make sure that it's set to odd even and it's working.
Most of the problems with sprinkler systems seem to be broken heads, so you'll be out driving around in town and you'll see the head flowing up just like a geyser of water. So if our utility customers to be reminded again to pay attention to your sprinkler systems and keep them in good repair.
Watson says on really hot, dry days, water usage can jump to 24 million gallons a day. That compares to 6 million gallons in the winter when there's no outside watering.
And now that it has warmed up outside, Maple Grove police are seeing an uptick in thefts from autos. In the past couple of weeks, more than a dozen vehicles in both residential and retail areas have been targeted. In the majority of the cases, the car has been left open with valuables inside. There's even been some keys in the car, so thieves were able to drive off with the vehicle. It's a reminder to lock car doors, keep valuables out of sight, and garage doors shut.
Part of the problem is we've got a very safe community, which we're proud of, and so that gives that level of comfort. And so when you have that comfort, you think it's not going to happen here. We all just have to take that little extra steps of caution and try and keep each other safe.
And if you see anything suspicious in your neighborhood, police urge you to call 911.
Contract negotiations have started with the woman tapped to become the new leader of Hopkins schools. Rhoda Mirapiri-Reed was selected by the Hopkins School Board to become the district's next superintendent. Mirapiri-Reed is currently an associate superintendent at a school district in Central California. She has ties, however, to the Twin Cities, having served as principal from 2004 to 2010 at Champlin Park High School. If a contract is approved, Mirapiri-Reed would replace John Schultz, who left to become the superintendent of Edina schools. As school winds down for the summer, many districts are honoring retiring teachers and staff.
One of those retirees in the Wayzata School District has made a big impact, not in a classroom, but behind the scenes. Reporter Shannon Slatton has more.
15 seconds.
It might be the last edition of Wayzata News Break.
Here we go.
But it's showtime as usual.
We're live.
The newscast by students for the students of Wayzata High School happens 4 days a week.
We got 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Most shows go pretty smoothly, and perhaps one reason why is because behind the lights, beyond the script,
We got 4th place in state.
and at the back of the control room is where you'll find the watchful eye that's ready to shut down problems before they happen.
He makes sure everything works. He definitely makes sure we're recording.
Can't bring it up more.
Dave Carlson is much more than the AV guy for the district.
This would happen, but no one would see it outside the school. It wouldn't get up on the website. It wouldn't get on our TV channel.
Whenever you see a DVD or a DVD of your concert or a football game, you know, he did that.
You want a meme for that?
Dave Carlson is retiring after 15 years with Wayzata Schools and several years working in the local video production community. Dave has seen video production come very far, considering when he was in college.
We had a studio, but we couldn't touch the videotape equipment. They had to have an engineer touch the 2-inch quad, tape equipment.
Now one of his career highlights is that students are the ones doing it all and learning along the way.
For the new shows, it's a big teamwork effort too. They have to learn they all have their duties, and they all know that their show is only as good as everybody working together.
Been working with him
A former student will help take over the reins here.
He's been able to teach me a lot more than I could learn and show me things.
While others will remember his influence.
It's great to have a guy that's been around and knows as much as he does.
A great year of Newsbreak.
In Plymouth, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
There are student broadcasts not only at Wayzata High School, but at all 3 middle schools and many elementary schools as well. Still ahead on CCX News, something to beware about. Bee-friendly advice for your garden is next.
Plus, the Maple Grove baseball team aims for a return trip to state. We'll show you how the Crimson did later in sports.
But first, dew points are rising. It'll feel like 90 on Friday. More people are doing their part to increase the bee population by planting bee-friendly gardens.
Reporter Sonia Goins goes in the garden for some bee-friendly tips with an avid gardener that you may just recognize.
Well, we have a lot of peonies.
This is where New Hope Mayor Kathy Hempkin goes to get away from the hectic day-to-day grind at City Hall.
It's nice to be able to come home and sit in quiet and serenity.
Huge hostas and a variety of native plants make a statement in the entranceway, while her backyard is lined with ferns, poppies, and other perennials.
I have something blooming all the time until September.
Hempkin is careful what she puts in her yard. That's because she wants it to be a bee-safe, friendly garden.
It means I don't use any chemicals on the plants. So if I am putting any fertilizer, I use a natural fertilizer. I don't spray anything on the top of the plants, and I do have plants for the butterflies to come.
Be safe also means she's pulling weeds by hand instead of using chemicals. This weekend, she'll also spend extra time watering with extra heat in the forecast.
When I water on the top of the plants, I do that in the evening because we don't want the sun boiling the water on top of the plants. And so I usually water early in the morning before the sun is too bright or late in the evening.
She says anyone can grow a great garden. She says patience and a whole lot of love are key.
Well, you have to talk to the plants. And you have to love it, and you have to spend 2-3 hours a day pulling weeds and just tending to what's there.
In New Hope, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
There are many flowers that will attract bees in Minnesota, including purple coneflower, swamp milkweed, sunflowers, autumn joy sedum, and bee balm. We will have a list on our website. Go to ccxmedia.org. Still ahead, 2 different kinds of treasure hunts, one in Brooklyn Park and one in Robbinsdale. We'll explain coming up.
But first, plenty of section baseball highlights, including Champlin Park trying to make it to the state tournament. Jay Wilcox has the highlights of the Rebels and more next.
I'm Jay Wilcox with sports. St. Michael-Albertville beat Maple Grove 11-4 in the Section 8 4A baseball tournament Wednesday evening, setting up a second game between the Knights and the Crimson in the double elimination tournament in Cold Spring. Highlights from Game 2. Bottom of the first, Charlie Horton strokes a hit down the line, bringing Josh Tyler around. The Crimson lead 2-0 after 1 inning. Bottom of the third, runners at first and third, and Maple Grove pulls the double steal. Jake Hansen zips home and scores on a head-first slide for a 4-1 Crimson lead. Sixth inning, the Crimson blow it open. Jensen Erickson shows bunt and pulls it back and knocks the base hit, scoring Curtis Haugen for an 8-3 Maple Grove lead. Then Horton will crush a shot to the center field fence to bring Erickson in. The Crimson lead 11-3 after 6 and go on to win the section title 11-5. Maple Grove is headed back to state. In Section 5 4A, top seed Champlin Park faced Mounds for the section title. The Mustangs needed 2 wins. The Rebels just 1 when these two met at CHS Field. The Rebels battling for a second straight state appearance. Trailing 1-0 in the bottom of the first, Quinn Victoria drives the ball to the gap in left center field. There's a lot of room out there. Zach Loven beats the throw home. Victoria ends up on third base, and it's 1-1 after 1 inning. From there, it settles into a pitcher's duel. After Max Loven pitches 8 great innings, Cole Albers throws the 9th and 10th for Champlin Park, striking out the side in the top of the 10th. And then the Rebels finally push across a run. With the bases loaded, 1 out, Cal Hansen lifts a fly ball to center, and this one's deep enough to score Jack Snee from third. The section winning run. Champlin Park is back at state as well. 2-1 Rebels is the final. The state softball tournament is underway now. Maple Grove tried to upset the defending champion. The Crimson meeting top seed Chanhassen in the 4A quarterfinals. It's a great start for Maple Grove as Aaron Roll goes deep for a 2-run homer in the top of the first, and it's 2-0 Crimson. 2 innings later, Crimson pitcher Ava Dueck follows suit, tagging the pitch over the fence and left for a 2-run shot of her own. Maple Grove shocks the Storm by jumping to a 4-0 lead. But trailing 4-1, Chanhassen erupts in the 5th. Jessica Bren with a 2-run blast to right to bring the Storm to within 4-3. Then tied up at 4 apiece, Callie O'Keefe's pop-up is lost in the sun by shortstop Roll. 2-run score as Chanhassen takes the lead 6-4. They add 2 more and they rally past the Crimson for an 8-4 win. Also in the Class 4A quarterfinal, Section 6 champion Hopkins meeting Anoka. Hopkins gets an early run as Mackenzie Merritt's hit is too hot to handle at shortstop. The Royals get on the board in the top of the first. Anoka responds with a pair of runs in the bottom of the frame as Amber Elliott knocks one in here. The Royals go on to fall to the second-seeded Tornadoes. 5-3 is the final. In Class 3A, Totino-Grace made the state tournament for the first time in 6 years. The Eagles are the number 2 seed in open play against Big Lake. It's tied 1-1 when Grace's Aaron Pepping drives it deep for a solo home run in a game with plenty of power hitting all game long. Big Lake surges ahead as Talon McLaughlin hits one of 3 home runs in the game for the Hornets. Big Lake goes up 4-3. But the Eagles respond in the bottom half of the 5th. Ella Ebensteiner cracks a 2-run drive for a 6-4 Eagles lead. The Eagles win at 6-5, and they're playing in the semifinals this afternoon. In boys lacrosse, Maple Grove and Wayzata have built up a nice little rivalry over the past few years. The Trojans and Crimson faced off Wednesday for the Section 8 championship. Maple Grove coming in unbeaten. First quarter, Maple Grove's Brennan Davison sets up John Wells with a nice pass. Wells' goal ties the game up at 1-1. Later in the quarter, Dalton Sees shoots and scores just before he goes down as Wayzata takes the lead. Trailing 6-4 in the second quarter, Maple Grove's Hunter House sets up Carter Lysing for a quick shot and goal, pulling the Crimson within 1. But Wayzata holds the lead and extends it in the second half. Seas scores 5 times in the game as Wayzata knocks off top seed Maple Grove 11-8 to win the section title. At Osseo, the Osseo-Park Center girls meeting top seed Maple Grove in the Section 8 final. First half, OPC's Laura Denchfield scores from the free position to put the Crocs ahead 2-0. But the Crimson score the next 3 goals, 2 of them by Emily Herdeen. Maple Grove takes a 3-2 lead on this Herdeen goal. Later in the first half, Taylor Helvey passes to Paige Casibo right in front for the shot and goal. Maple Grove leads 9-3 at halftime, and they go on to win the Section 8 title 12-6. The state tournament starts next Tuesday. And that's all for another busy day in sports. Mike and Alex, back to you.
I would say thanks a lot, Jay. Up next, a search on 2 fronts, from Brooklyn Park's missing golden spud to possible hidden gems in Robbinsdale. We'll help out with the search coming up next.
The search is on for the golden spud in Brooklyn Park, and here's the next clue. I reached in my pack to check my supplies. I dug a bit further and found a surprise. Along with my snacks and my slacks and some crud, an old family heirloom, the great golden spud. It shimmered and shined. It renewed all my strength. I soaked in its beauty till finally at length I tucked it away to hide it from crooks, then headed out east past one of the brooks. So there you have it, clue number 2. If you find the golden spud on public property in Brooklyn Park, you could win $300. And finally, treasures abound in Robbinsdale, all waiting for you to come and find them. The citywide Robbinsdale garage sale starts today.
This is my best piece, I think, in the whole sale. This is a vintage Raleigh from Britain.
Vintage items, tools, collectibles, you never know what you'll find at a garage sale, and for the next 3 days you'll find a lot of garage and yard sales all around Robbinsdale.
Normally in Minnesota, the time that you meet your neighbors is when you're pushing each other out of the snowbanks and whatnot, you know, it's or a crisis situation. So instead, I realized I had met some of my favorite Robbinsdale residents at garage sales. And so I thought, well, rather than having 10 to 15 garage sales every weekend through the whole summer and having all those signs around and all of that, why not concentrate it so that everybody shows up at the same time?
This is the 4th year of the Robbinsdale garage sale, and it's grown from about 70 sales for the weekend to over 120. If you go to the RobbinSale HQ Facebook page, you can join the group. You will find more information as well as maps to all of the sales. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you back here again Friday, starting at 4.